now to the new topic. I mean, this is just a continuation of the topic confidence interval. And this time, it is the standard deviation of the population is unknown. Okay? It is unknown. Kanina known yung standard deviation ng population. Ngayon naman, it is unknown. Alright. Ano yung gagamitin natin kapag unknown? Okay. So, let's start with this. William Seeley Gossett. So, it's pioneered small sample experimental design and analysis with an economic approach to the logic of uncertainty. So, it published under the pen name Student and developed the most famously Student's T distribution, originally called Student's Z and the Student's Test of Statistical Significance. So, um, si William Gossett, no, S. Gossett. So, nabuhay siya noong 1876 to 1937. And siya yung nakapag-discover ng paggamit ng T distribution. So, before we have what we call the Z statistics. But now we will discuss, we will use the T statistics. We're using T score. So, before we use Z score, no? But now we will use the T score. So you will understand later when do we use Z score and when do we use the T score or the T distribution. Okay? All right. So the properties of students' T distributions. It is a bell shape just like the normal curve, no? It is symmetric about the mean. The mean, median, mode are equal to 0 and are located at the center of the distribution. So I hope you already know what is the mean, median, and mode. So that is, na-discuss ko din ito or nag-recall tayo nito, no? Sa F2F. So the curve approaches but never touches the x-axis. So these are some of the properties of the student's T distribution. So as an example, we have this one. So as you can see, we have the curve. It's a bell shape. Okay, and the mean, the median, and the mode is 0. Okay, so if the standard deviation of the population is unknown, we are using the degrees of freedom. Okay, so what is the degrees of freedom? The degrees of freedom are the number of values that are free to vary after wait lang guys. So after a sample statistics has been computed and they tell the researcher which specific curve to use when a distribution consists of a family curve. So to get the degree of freedom, so you just need to know the number of the population or the number na kino-consider natin minus 1. So maminusan mo lang ng 1. Okay? All right. So T distribution are bell-shaped and symmetric but have fatter tails than the normal distribution. So this is the difference between the T distribution and the normal distribution. Okay. So as you can see, sabi dyan, merong fatter tails. Just like this, green and the orange one. So this green and orange one nasa fatter tails pagdating dito. No? And ang normal kasi guys is parang paliit siya, no? So if that yung T distribution hindi siya masyadong nag-slide pa ganyan. So mas fat yung tails niya, itong nasa baba. While normal distribution, liliko masyado pa ganyan. Okay? Alright. So, mas madali niyong makikita. And, as you can see, meron tayong DF. So, DF daw nito is equal to 12, while the green one is equal to 6. So, later, we will talk about that, kung ano yan. Okay? Alright. So, the variance of the T distribution is greater than 1. Okay? Because we know na meron siyang mas spread siya compared sa normal distribution. The t-distribution is a family of curve based on the concept of degrees of freedom, which is related to sample size. As the sample size increases, the t-distribution approaches the standard normal distribution. And the student's t-distribution has more probability in its tails than the standard normal distribution because the spread of the t-distribution is greater than the spread of the standard normal. So as what I have said kanina, so yung spread ng t-distribution are greater as compared to normal distribution. Okay? All right. So this is how we compute the t-score. So t-score is equal to t-score is equal to bar x minus mu over s over the square root of n, where bar x is the sample mean, mu is the population mean, s is the sample standard deviation. Okay? Or kapag hindi sample, kapag population standard deviation, ito yan, di ba? Yung symbol niya. While kung sample, S yan. Okay? And N is equal to, or the N is the sample size. So, a little bit, the same with the z-score. Di ba? Okay. So, this is the t-score. But, we also using the t-table. Okay, just like the z-score, meron tayong ginagamit na table. Here in t-score, we will also use t-table for critical, no? So ito kasi ang tawag dito is the test statistic T. But when we are talking about the T critical value, we are going to use this table. No, I already posted this in your BB. So I hope you will just download it because I think you will use it in your examination. I just don't know if it will be provided to you. But I guess katulad nung midterm, pre-providean naman kayo ng table ano. So I think provided yung table na ito because you need to use this in this confidence interval. Okay? So we have the DF or ano nga yung DF? Hindi ko pala masyadong na-highlight yung DF kanina, no? So DF is when you are going to compute the degree of freedom that is n minus 1, okay? So yun yung DF kanina. No, nakalimutan kong i-recall sa inyo so DF is the degree of freedom. Okay? Kapag may nakita kayong DF, that is the degree of freedom. All right. So the degree of freedom, ito yung mga values niya. And kung makikita mo, you have here one tail and two tails. Pag sinabing one tail, it is just the single tail of the referring to the single tail of the distribution of the T distribution. So ibig sabihin if yung two tails naman refers to alpha. Okay? All right. So this is alpha for two tails. Therefore, one tail is alpha over 2. Okay? And that is alpha over 2. One tail is alpha over 2. Two tails is alpha. All right. So this is no continuation of the table. So as you can see here, we have the confidence interval. I mean confidence level. No, we have the 0%, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 95, 98, 99, 98.8, and 99.9% confidence level. Okay? So, it's either you will use this confidence level to know what is the value of our T critical, or you will compute for alpha over 2. So, mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo how to use this table. Okay? All right. So, to get the confidence interval, so we have the normal distribution sample mean. All we need to do is to subtract this error. Again, that is marginal error. Kaparehas lang ng dati. No? So, if you recall, So kung if the standard deviation of the population known, kapag known yan, 'di ba yung formula natin is x bar x minus z alpha over 2. 'Di ba? So this is just like nito. So we have x minus t alpha over 2. So as you can see here, kapag known, ang ginagamit natin is z alpha over 2. While here, ang ginagamit natin is t alpha over 2. So yan lang yung pagkakaiba nila. Okay? And another one, since we don't know the population mean, okay? Population standard deviation. So ang gagamitin natin dito, 'di ba if it is known, ang gagamitin natin dito is the sigma, right? This one. And since unknown ito this time, we will replace it with the S, or the sample standard deviation. Okay, since we do not know what is the population standard deviation or sigma, ang gagamitin natin is the S. Okay po? Alright. So the yung mu natin ngayon, no, is between the normal distribution sample mean, just like kanina, minus this quantity, minus or plus this quantity. So again, ang pagkakaiba lang, kapag known ang sigma, that is z yung gagamitin natin, and we will use sigma here. Right? But since unknown yung sigma natin, we will use S, sample standard deviation, instead of the sigma. And another thing is, para hindi kayo malito, no, so that you will know ano yung dapat gamitin kapag nag-exam kayo. So, T ba or Z? No? T sub alpha over 2 ba or Z sub alpha over 2? Ito yung tatandaan ninyo. If it is known, ito, no? If the population standard deviation is known and the sample are more than or equal to 30, meaning the value of n is greater than or equal to 30, meaning you will use the Z. But if the sigma is unknown and the number, no, of the sample size is less than 30, so meaning the sample size is 29, 28, pababa, you will use the T distribution or T sub alpha over 2. Malinaw po. So those are the two conditions that you need to identify so that you will know what are you going to use for the problem. Okay? So kung makikita ninyo mamaya, we will solve an example problem and makikita nyo yung n, yung value ng n niya is lower than 30. Okay? Naintindihan po? Alright. So there are steps here, but this is just a suggested steps. You may use this one. So first daw, you need to determine the confidence coefficients or the T sub alpha over 2. Number 2, you need to find the maximum error E of the estimate. Number 3, find the lower and upper confidence limit. Pag sinabing upper and lower, eto na po yung minus tsaka plus. Okay? So this is the lower limit and this is the higher limit. Since yung mu natin is in between these two. So yan lang ibig sabihin yan. Meaning gagamitin na natin yung formula dito. And then we need to interpret the result. So we know naman how to interpret the result. Meron tayong script. Yung ginamit natin last meeting. Okay? All right. So, let's solve a problem para mas mag-sink in sa inyo, no? Yung discussion. Okay, mas maganda kasi if na-apply, mas naiintindihan. All right. So in sample problem number 4, a random sample of 10 children found that their average growth for the first year was 9.8 inches. Assume the variable is normally distributed and the sample standard deviation is 0.96 inches. Find the 90% confidence interval of the population mean for growth during the first year. So, again, kapag nakakita kayo ng problem na ganito, you need first to check, say, hindi natin alam, no? We do not know kung ano yung gagamitin natin. Say, randomize, no? And we have this problem. So first, let's check. No, alam ba natin yung population standard deviation? May sinabi ba dito? So, ang binigay is sample standard deviation, not the population. So, dito pa lang, we can now conclude that we are going to use the T. Another na palatandaan is what is N? What is the value of N? So, the value of N here is only 10, meaning that is lower than 30. Again, kapag ang N is lower than 30, you can use the T. T-score. Okay? Or T-distribution. Naintindihan po? Alright. So since N is lower than 30, and instead of giving us the population standard deviation, ang binigay sa atin sample, so confirm, we will use the standard, the T distribution or the T-score. So, dun sa step natin na binigay, we need first daw to determine the confidence coefficients. Okay. So, but I think it is much easier if we identify first all the given. Okay? All right. Wait a minute, guys. Okay. So, let me identify first and list all the given. So we have, wait, where's my pen? Solution. Okay, so the given is yung N value natin or the number of sample. Ano po? Is ilan? That is equal to 10. Tama? 10 children. Okay. And then, what else? So, how about, what is this 9.8? 9.8 is average growth, meaning that is the bar X. So, 9.8 inches. And then, ano pa? To assume that the variable is normal distributed and the sample standard deviation. Sample standard deviation represented by S, and that is 0.96 inches. Okay? All right. Okay. So, that is S. Ito yan yung mga given. And we also have the confidence interval or the confidence level is 90%. Okay, we already identified that T ang gagamitin natin. So, we proceed now in checking or identifying what is the value of the T critical. But to know that, kailangan, we need to find the T sub alpha over 2. Okay? Alright. So, let me write na lang para mas nakikita nyo ba't kailangan natin tong hanapin. So, to get the confidence interval, diba, that is bar X minus T alpha over 2 times S over the square root of N. So, yung mean natin must be greater than that or must be lower than or less than bar X plus T alpha over 2 times S over the square root of N. Okay. So, we need bar X. We already have that. Tama. We need bar X. Meron tayong bar X. We have S. We already have S. We have N. We have N. The only missing is the T sub alpha over 2. So how to identify that? Okay. So we have, 'di ba, meron tayong, kaya binalikan ko muna yung discussion last meeting because as we all know, meron tayong formula ng alpha plus confidence level is equal to 1. Right? Okay. This is to find the T alpha over 2. So to find alpha, we transpose CL to the other side. Okay po? So this will become 1 minus CL. So alpha therefore is equal to 1 minus 0.90 since that is our CL, 0.90. Okay? So therefore our alpha is equal to ilan to? 0.10. Right? So we need to find the alpha over 2. Etong subscript ng T dito sa baba. So we just need to divide both side by 2 para makuha natin yung alpha over 2. And that is equal to 0.10 over 2. It will give you 0.05. That is the value of alpha over 2. Okay. So another thing that we need to know is the DF or the degree of freedom. So we know that DF is equal to n minus 1, right? Okay. So therefore, our DF is equal to n is 10 minus 1. DF therefore is equal to 9. So, eto po yung kailangan natin to get, wait lang, let me change the color. Ano, wait. I will change lang yung color ng ano natin, pen ko. So, eto po yung kailangan nating dalawa to use the table. Kaya, in-identify muna natin. No? Okay. So, let's go back to the table. Again, we have, tandaan nyo, we have alpha over 2 is 0.05 and DF is 9. So, let's go back to the table and let's look kung ano yung value niyan. So, our DF or the degree of freedom is 9, which is, nandito po yung 9. So, our DF is 9. Ito yan. And our alpha over 2, di ba, nasa one tail. Kapag one tail, that's alpha over 2. And that is 0.05, right? So, 0.05 yung alpha over 2 and the DF is 9. So, ang katapat niyan po will be 1.833. So, parehas ng z-score lang. Parehas ng z-table lang, no? Yung normal table na ginagamit natin. Dito lang is DF and alpha over 2. So, that would be 9, 0.05. So, that would be 1.833 ang gagamitin natin. Or, since hindi ko, sige, let me check na lang kung ano yung 90%. Nabutol kasi yung table, no? Pero this one is, di ba 90% ang CL natin? Pwede mong gamitin ito so that you can see, instead of using one tail or two tails, you can use also the confidence level. So, titingnan mo lang dito, putol kasi ito, no? So, that would be 9. I think, ang baba nito, 90%. Ito yan, karugtong niya. Ito, 90%. So, parehas lang yung makukuha nyo. That's 1.833. Ano po? So, dun sa pinost ko na table, tingnan nyo na lang kasi kita yung buo. May kita nyo yung 90% nandito sa baba. Nasa 90% ito. No? So, that's 9 and 90%. So, you can get 1.833. Naintindihan po? Okay. So, meaning, yung T alpha natin, the value of our, therefore, the value of our T alpha over 2 is equal to 1. Yung nakita natin kanina, that's 1.833. Tama ba? Pabalikan natin para sure. That's 1.833. All right. So 1.833. Nasaan na ba 'yun? Balik tayo sa problem. Okay. So again, nakuha na natin yung goal natin. We already have this. Kompleto na. We have the bar X, we have S, we have N. So we can now solve. So yan lang naman yung purpose. Why do we need to get, no? Etong step na to para makuha natin yung T alpha over 2. So X daw is 10, ay no, 9.8 minus T alpha over 2. T alpha over 2, yung nakuha natin, 1.833. Multiplied by S. S is 0.96 over the square root of N. N is 10. No, that is the lower limit. The upper limit is 9.8 again. Plus, this time it's plus. T alpha over 1.833 times S. S is 0.96 over the square root of 10. Okay, you can now compute for the lower limit and the upper limit. So please try to compute it. Ilan ba yan? And please give me the answer. Yung mga nakikinig po. Please try to compute it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ables. So that's 9.24 and 10.36. Okay. So 9.24, 10.36. Okay, meaning that our value or the mean must be between 9.24 and 10.36. All right. So therefore, we can now make an statement na ano nga yun? Paano paggawa ng statement natin? So we can say now that we interpretation, we estimate with 90% confidence that the say interval of the children growth, 'di ba? Tungkol yun sa children growth during the first year is between 9.24 and 10.36 inches. So that's how you interpret that. Okay? All right. So madali lang naman guys, no? Madali lang yung confidence interval. So let's go now to sample number 5. So how about instead of giving us the sample distribution like the sample values, ang binigay sa atin is the raw data. Okay? Kapag nakikita kayo ng ganito, these are the raw data. Okay. So the data represent a random sample of the number of home fires started by candles for the past several years. Data are from the National Fire Protection Association. Find the 99% confidence interval for the mean number of home fires started by candles each year. All right. So since we have a um, raw data, kailangan pa natin i-compute yung mean, sample mean, and sample standard deviation. Okay? All right. So to get it, 'di ba? You can use calculator or you can use the long method. So for the long method, 'di ba, for mean, i-add natin 'to lahat. So plus long method 'yan, 'di ba? So i-add natin 'to lahat to get the sample mean and then divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Divided by 7, you can get the sample mean. Again, kailangan natin ng sample standard deviation. So you can also use the formula for, I already discussed this to you, yung formula natin for S squared. 'Di ba? Variance. And since ang kailangan natin is standard deviation, ang kailangan lang natin, we need to, 'di ba, yung sample variance natin, if you still remember, that is the summation, no, of x I minus x bar squared over n minus 1 as I is equal to 1 n. Okay, so to get the S or the standard deviation, all you need to do is to square both. So you can now compute for S. Tama? So this is the long method. But again, you can use, of course, your calculator. So doon po sa ano nyo, sa module nyo na pinost ko sa BB, meron doon step in using calculator. But I think that's for Casio. For the non-Casio calculator, like Canon, so all you need to do is to, lahat naman, no? You need to set your calculator into a stat. 'Di ba? So, isulat ko na lang dito yung step for Canon. So, you need to press mode, no? After you press mode, you press 3. Naturo ko na to last meeting naman. For stat. So, after you press stat or 3, you press 1 for SD, meaning the standard deviation. So, you press 1, and then you enter all the row score, all the row data, no? You just enter it, 5,460, tapos 5,900, enter mo lang, 6090, 6310, 7160, 8440, and 9930. Hindi ko na kasi na-access yung emulator ko sa Canon. I don't know why. Kaya tinuro ko na lang sa inyo last meeting ito. Ano po? So after you enter all the data, no? Lagay ko na lang dito, you enter all data. So this is for Canon since nandun sa BB nyo yung pang Casio. And then after entering the data, you press CA. After pressing CA, you press apps for Canon. And then press 5. Okay? After press 5, pipili kayo. If you want to get the standard, the mean, no, you press 2 for the mean. Makikita mo dyan, nakaganyan siya. And to press the sample, okay? Sample standard deviation o yung S, you press 4. So para siyang ganyan yung format dun sa N-1. N-1 is for sample standard deviation. Yung 3 dyan, walang -1 yung N. That's the sigma or the population standard deviation. So, ang concern lang naman natin, we need to get the bar X and the S. Yung S dyan is ito na, no? Number 4. So, mas madali. So, sige, you compute for the standard deviation and please give me, testingan nyo to sa calculator ninyo para let me check if you understand it, nasundan nyo. So, please give me the values. I think ito, i-check nyo na lang ha. Ito, yung bar X natin, it will give you 7041.4. While yung S natin, it will give you 160. 1610, I mean, 3. Okay, so as you can see, dito pa lang, I just use 1 decimal point since yung row score natin, di ba meron tayong rules on how to estimate or round off, I mean. So kapag yung row score natin is, kapag ang binigay sa atin are row score, kapag kumuha tayo ng values or nag-round off tayo, dapat more than 1. No? Kung ito, sakto, di ba, wala tayong decimal dito. So, dapat, dadagdag tayo ng isa. Kung yung row score nyo is 2 decimal places, dapat yung mga values ninyo is 3 decimal. Kung 2 decimal places yung row score, yung values nyo dapat 4 decimals. Magdadagdag lang siya ng isang decimals. Naintindihan? So, I will use now 7041.4. Nagdagdag ako ng 1 decimal. And 1610.3. Another 1 decimal. Ito yung rules natin kasi, di ba? I hope you still remember it. So, we already have X bar X and S. Okay. So, kapag may S na tayo tsaka bar X, ang sunod na kailangan natin, let me write it here muna. So, we already have the bar X. That is equal to 7041.4. We already have S, the sample 1610. No? Standard deviation, 0.2. Tama? Okay. So, yung CL natin, ilan yung CL natin? 99%. So, yung confidence level natin is at 99%. Okay. So, again, we need to compute for T sub alpha over 2. Yun na lang yung kulang natin. So, pwede ding isulat nyo na kaagad yung formula para mas nai-imagine ninyo ano pa ba yung kulang. Mas nalalaman ninyo kung ano pa ba yung kulang sa formula natin, no? So that is S over square root of N mean. That's the lower limit. The upper limit is plus S over the square root of N. So, sa problem guys, again, let me remind you, kapag tinanong kayo ng error, nasan yung error dyan na formula? Ito. Okay? Same with the Z. Yung Z natin. Yan din yung error formula. No? Okay, so to compute that again, we need what? We need the alpha and the DF. Okay? All right. So to compute for the alpha, so alpha again, nabago na yung kulay. So alpha is equal to 1 minus CL. So that would be 1 minus 0.99. Hindi ko din pala nabago yung kulay. Anyway, so alpha therefore is equal to 0.01. Okay? So, it's either we will use alpha, pwede naman, di ba? Or alpha over 2. So, depende. So, this is for alpha. So, divide mo lang yan ng 2. Alpha over 2, therefore, Ilan ba yan? 0.005. Tama? So that would be 0 or 5 times 10 raised to negative 3 or that's 0.005. So again, pwede natin gamitin ng alpha to get the t value. Pwede natin gamitin yung alpha muna, alpha lang. Pwede natin gamitin yung CL. Pwede natin gamitin yung alpha over 2. Para parehas yan yung ibibigay sa'yo. Okay, balikan natin yung... Nasaan na ba yung table natin? Ay, wait lang. Kailangan pa nating alamin yung DF. No? Ilan ba yung DF? So, for the DF, that is n minus 1. Ilan ba yung n? Hindi pala natin nasulat yung n. Ilan ba yung n? Balikan natin. The data represent a random sample number of home fires. Nasaan yung n na? Ah, ito pala. We just need to count. The row. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So, 7 yung n. So, n is equal to 7. Therefore, 6 yung DF natin. So, we need to, again, ang kailangan, lagyan ko na lang ng mark ha, yung mga kailangan nyo to get the T alpha over 2. So, ito, kailangan nyo talaga yan. And, you can use either 99%, you can also use alpha, or you can use the alpha over 2. Oh, sige, tandaan nyo, CL is 99%, alpha is 0.01, and alpha over 2 is 0.005. And 6 DF. Okay. Okay. Degree of freedom. So, the degree of freedom here is 6. Diba? Yun yung kailangan natin. Ito yan, 6. And if I'm going to use the two tails or the alpha, that's 0. Ilan ba yun? 0.01. So, if I'm going to use 0.01, it will give me this. Ay, hindi. Nasaan yung 0? Ito. Tama? So, kung alpha ang gagamitin natin, again, two tails stands for alpha. So, yung alpha natin is 0.01, while our DF is 6. So, alin ba yung katapat niyan? Okay, so we can use 3 let me mark it para mas makita nyo. So, we can use the 3.707. Tama? 6 and 0.01. Kung alpha over 2 naman, di ba 0.005 yung alpha over 2 natin? And 6 DF. So, again, 3.77. Or, we can use the CL or the confidence interval that is 99. Kapag tinignan natin to sa table, sa baba nito, no, that's, simula dito, ikatlo, di ba? So, 99, andito. So, again, it will give you the same. So, 99%, it will give you to the 3.776. So, meaning, if you're going to use this table, actually, pinakita ko lang sa inyo paano pag-compute ng netong mga ito. No? But this may not be necessary if given na yung CL. Kasi dun sa table, pwedeng ito na lang gamitin. Tama? So, I'll just show to you how to compute for alpha over 2 so that if in case, wala sa table yung 99%, kasi may mga table na hindi to given. No, maganda yung table na gamit natin kasi lahat given. Pero merong mga table na hindi given yung value ng ng 99% sa table. So, kailangan nyo pang i-compute yung alpha or alpha over 2. So, at least you know how to compute it. No? Okay. So, again, yung nakita natin na value ng T alpha, sub alpha over 2 doon, before we forgot, we know that T alpha over 2 is 3.707. Tama? Oh, di, kompleto na. Direct substitution na lang. Alright. So we have bar X is 7041.4 minus T alpha over 2 is 3.707. Yung S natin is 1610.2 divided by the square root of n, which is 7. That's the lower limit. The upper limit, 741.4 plus 3.707, 1610.2 over the square root of 7. So therefore, the lower and upper limit are equal to, please give me the value. That's 478. 4785.3. Sige, let me write it. 4785.3. 4785.3. And the other one is 99297. Point 4 or point 5? 0.47. So that would be 0.5. 9296.5. Okay. 9296.5. All right. So that's the confidence interval of the mean. So we can say now that we estimate with 99% confidence that the interval, ay, mali. Ano bang problem natin dito? Wait lang. That for the mean number of home fires started by candle each year, basta ganyan. No? Wait lang. So kailangan ma-state ninyo yung wait lang guys Hindi nagsusulat yung panulat ko. Okay, oops. The true mean. So we estimate with 99% confidence that the true mean, not the interval, sabihin natin, true mean number of home fires, say started, it's about home fires started by candles, no? Each year is between 4785.3 and 9296.5. So, pwedeng ganyan yung interpretation. No? So, 99% interval. Okay. All right, sample number 6. A sample of 14 randomly selected commuters in Chicago showed that the average of the commuting time was 33.2 minutes. If the standard deviation was 8.3 minutes, find 95% confidence interval of the true mean. So again, let's check the problem. So yung n natin, kanina we identified that n is 7. So obviously, t yung gagamitin natin. Here naman, yung n natin is 14. So that is less than 30, right? Kapag less than 30, t distribution ang gagamitin, not the z. Always remember that. Given ba yung sigma natin dito? Hindi, because itong binigay sa atin dito is not a sigma but a sample. Sample standard deviation. Kasi galing siya sa 14 eh. Sample din yan. So meaning automatic, the sample distribution, the standard deviation given is also the S, not the sigma. Okay po? Alright. So kapag nalilito kayo guys, balikan ninyo yung ano ha, sample population at saka yung sample. So kapag population sigma, kapag sample S, ang mean dito ganyan, ang mean dito var x, 'di ba? So balikan niyo yung table na present ko sa inyo last meeting. All right. So for sample number 6, let's identify first also all the given. Okay. So solution. Kailangan ma-identify kagad natin yung n so that we will know what to use. So n is 14, so less than 30. And then ano pa? Bar x is given, that is 33.2 minutes. And s is given, that is 8.3. And the confidence level is 95%. Oh, diba? Alam nyo na yung sunod na gagawin dito. Kung yung table kasi may 95% na eh, kahit hindi na natin i-compute yung alpha. But for the sake of discussion, let's just compute it, no? So for alpha, that is equal to 1 minus CL. That is 1 minus 0.95. So alpha therefore is 0.05. Diba? Over 2. So it will give us over 2. This is 0.025. For DF, the degree of freedom, so that is n minus 1. N is 14 minus 1, that's 13, DF. Do you have any question? Yes, Avril? Yes, Avril?
Napindot lang, ma'am.
Ay, napindot lang. Okay, ay akala ko may question ka. All right. So, therefore, this is 13. So, balikan naman natin again yung, meron ba kayong copy dyan? Para ma-practice nyo sana. Anyway, balikan natin. Ay, wait lang. Tandaan muna natin ng mabuti. Alright, DF is 13. Tandaan nyo. Alpha over 2 is 0.025. So, yan yung gamitin natin. Sige. Or 95%. Tingnan natin yan lahat. 13 ang DF. Okay, andito yung 13. 13, 0.025. Nasaan yon? 13, 0.025. Or that is 95%. Nandun sa kabila. Ayan, 95%. So, therefore, ang gagamitin natin is ilan? 2.160. So, ayan ang gagamitin natin. So, 13 and 0.025. Therefore, that is 2.160. Okay. 2.116. So, therefore, we can use T Ito ko na lang sulat. Therefore, T alpha over 2 is 2.160. Okay po? Alright. Okay. So, next slide tayo. So, let me write now the formula. So, we have bar x minus T alpha over 2 is over the square root of n. That's the lower limit. Ay, mute pala ito. Bar x, higher, upper limit is square root of n. So, bar x is 33.2. 33.2 minus 2.160. S is, I think that's 8.3. S is 8.3 over the square root of n, that's 14. So, 32.2 plus 2.160, 8.3 over the square root of 14. So, therefore, ilan yung lower and upper limit natin? Please compute.
Ma'am, 33.2 po, ma'am. Bakong 32.2.
Ay, sorry. Oh, yeah. That's 33.2. Naduling si ma'am. Sige, please compute, guys.
28.41 and 37.99 po, ma'am.
37.99? Okay. So, let's check kung paano natin to i-present. Since ang given natin, this is not a row score, tama? I-practice natin yung rules and paano natin ito i-present. 33.2. So, this is anong rules ng kapag row score, dapat higher than 1 decimal point. Pero kung hindi row score, dapat yung rules natin, kapag hindi row score, yung decimal point natin is what? Tatandaan nyo pa? Hindi na. Paano ba? Kasi baka sa pilian, i-apply yung, what if ang pilian, 28.8, 28.4, and 37.99, B, 28.41. Diba? What is the rules? Ano po ba yung rules natin? Sa rounding off. Natatandaan nyo guys, yung rules natin sa rounding off, walang nakakatanda. Lahat nakakabata. Alright. Balikan natin yung rules, no? Kasi kailangan din yun. Importante yun. Balikan natin yung rules. Ayan. Rounding rule for a confidence interval for a mean. When you are computing a confidence interval for population mean by using raw data, yung example number 5 natin, yung may marami tayong given na data. So, ang pag-round off niyan, more than one more decimal place. So, meaning kapag yung raw data natin is 88.956, say 96.888, dapat yung answer natin is one more than decimal. So, say ang answer ng mean natin is, sabihin natin, kunwari lang ito, 77.8596. So, 3 decimal ito, yung answer natin 4 decimal. Kapag raw data ang given. Kapag hindi naman, Ano yan? Yung population mean naman, ang given by using a sample mean and standard deviation, round up to the same number of decimal place. Okay, so therefore, the same number of decimal place yung gagamitin natin because hindi naman raw data yung gamit. So dito, 1 decimal tayo dito. Sa solution, sa number 5, 1 decimal tayo because yung raw data natin, walang decimal point. Magdadagdag tayo ng isa. So here, since ang given or ang, di ba, that is 1 decimal. So sabi doon, kapag hindi raw data yung given, stick tayo. 1 decimal point. So, since 1 decimal point yung given, dapat ang answer dito is 20.4 and 38. Tama? 38 yan kasi 37.99 na yan. Hindi mo na kayang i-retain yung 9 as 9 kasi 99 yung nasa ano. So, eto po yung correct answer. Okay? If in case yung pilian ninyo is ganyan, ha? Naintindihan po? Okay, so the correct answer is 28.4 and 38. That's correct, correct, Mr. Dadwa. All right. So do you have any question? Wala? No? Madali
Ma'am,
lang yung
28.4 po, ma'am, or 20.4?
ay ilan ba yun?
28.4.
Ah, 28.
28 po, ma'am.
Oo, hindi na-erase kasi yung bilog sa baba. May bilog yan sa Okay, so that's 28.4. Thank you for that. So that's 28.41 and 38. That's the correct answer. Okay. So thank you for that. So do you have any question? Wala naman. Okay. So that's the confidence interval for a single population mean if the standard deviation, population standard deviation is unknown. So dalawa na yung natapos natin. Confidence interval for a single population mean if the sample yung n value natin is greater than 30 and the standard population standard deviation is known, no? So, yun yung una nating natapos. Pangalawa, kapag unknown and less than 30 yung n natin, gamit tayo ng t-score. Next is this one. Confidence interval for a population proportion. What if population proportion naman yung involved? Okay. So, condition for, madali lang ito, for proportion estimation problems. So, the underlying distribution is a binomial distribution. Thus, there is no mention of a mean or average. Kapag sinabing binomial from the word bi, diba? So, dalawa yung pwede nating outcome, no? So, when n is large and p is not close to 0 or 1, we can use the normal distribution to approximate the binomial. So, babalik tayo dun sa approximation of the binomial distribution. I hope you still remember that, using the normal distribution. Or that would be the mean is equal to NP and the standard deviation is equal to the square root of NPQ. So this is already familiar with you, no? Okay. If the number of successes, NP hat, and the number of failures, which is the NQ hat, are both greater than 5, so that would be NP greater than or equal to 5 and NQ greater than or equal to 5. So again, babalik tayo sa approximation of the binomial distribution. So, yan lang po yung kailangan nating mga tingnan, no? So, alright. So, for confidence interval, magkakamukha lang po yan sila. No? So, kung makikita nyo, eto, again, this is, in this case, eto po yung error na naman, di ba? So, ito naman yung error dyan. Para parehas lang yan. So, madali lang silang tandaan tatlo. Tatlo lang naman ng confidence interval na pag-uusapan natin. Ano po? Okay. So, in this time, babalik tayo sa z-score. So, ang ginagamit na dito, z alpha over 2. Z alpha over 2. Yung value niyan. Yun yung gagamitin natin dito. Okay. So, N is the, again, number of trials or the sample size. P is the population proportion. Ito yan po. Ito yung ini-estimate natin. X is the random variable for the number of successes. P hat is the estimated proportion of success. To compute that, all we need to do is to get the X or the number of success, random variable for the number of success divided by the number of trials. So, yan naman po yung ano, 'di ba? This is just the same with getting the probability. Tama? If you still remember. And again, this is for failure, 1 minus the success. Because the probability is always equal to 1. So, kung yung success is 0.30, yung failure is ilan? 70, di ba? So, I hope you still remember this sa prelim ninyo. And again, yung z sub alpha over 2 is the positive z-score for a specific confidence interval. So, babalikan na naman natin yung 95, 90, and 99%. No? Given naman yung z natin doon. Okay po? Alright. So, that's it. Let's solve problem. Kasi yung pinaka-concept na turo na dun sa dalawa eh. No? Yung unknown tsaka known na population standard deviation. So, okay. So, a survey conducted by Sally May and Gallup of 1404 respondents found that 323 students paid for their education by student loans. Find the 90% confidence interval of the true proportion of students who paid for their education by student loan. So let me just provide some space na susulatan natin. I think hindi ako nakapag-provide. Let me just put here. Sample number 7. So again, yung problem natin, instead of asking us what is the mean, no? Ang tinatanong sa atin is the proportion. Find the true proportion. Okay, so meaning we will have the confidence interval for a population proportion. Okay? And our formula is, okay, sulat na muna natin yung formula natin para alam natin kung ano yung kailangang i-identify. So that would be P, the upper limit P hat minus, of course, lower limit, I mean, the error, and that is equal to Z alpha over 2 square root of P hat Q hat over N. Okay? The upper limit plus Z alpha over 2 the square root of P hat Q hat over N. Okay, so nasaan ba ang ating P hat? Tingnan natin kung meron tayong P hat. So what is P hat here? That's 3. Sorry guys. Maingay ang aking baby girl. Okay, that's P hat is, nasaan dyan? What do you think is our P hat? P hat is X over N. Tama? So, nandito yan. X over N. Okay? So, X is equal to what? Unahin muna natin yung x para malinaw. Sige. Unahin natin yung x. Now, what is x? X is 3, 2, 3. How about n? N is, it is 1. 1, 4, 0, 4. So always remember, x is always smaller than the n because the n is the whole sample, no? So 3, 2, 3 is the x, n is 1, 4, 0, 4. So therefore, knowing these two quantities, we can compute for p hat, yung gusto nating makuha, which is this one. So we can compute for p hat. Okay. So p hat is equal to x over n. That is equal to 323 over 1404. So it will give you, please check it in your calculator. It will give you 0.23. Okay? So if p hat is 0.23, therefore q hat natin 1 minus p hat. That is equal to, ano ito ha? Baka malito kayo niyan. 1 minus 0.23, it will give you 0.77. Oh, diba? We have the P hat, we already have Q hat, we have N. Ang problema na lang natin, Z sub alpha over 2. Tama? Okay. So, balikan natin yung, ilan daw ito? 90% confidence. So, balikan natin yung values. Nasaan na ba yung values natin na, value natin na?
1.645 po, ma'am.
Sige. Thank you for that. Para wag na tayong bumalik. Okay. So, Z, pag-check nyo, Z is over alpha over 2 is 1.6, ano yan? 45?
Opo, ma'am.
Okay. 1.645. Oh, direct substitute na naman. Di ba? Ang dali lang. Direct substitution. P hat is 0.23. minus 1.645. The square root of P hat, 0.23. Q hat, 0.77. All over N. N is 1404. Lower limit. Ilan nakuha nyo, guys? Actually, isa sa pinakamadali is the confidence interval. Ilan po ang nakuha ninyo? Please check it. Ito po yung nakuha ko. Ayan, 0.21, 0.24. Okay. So, if I'm going to check, tingnan natin. Nasaan na yan? So, yung given natin whole number. Yung answer natin is point something. No, hindi naman natin kayang i-whole number yan. So, let's just use 0.21, 0.24. Okay? So, 0.21, 0.24. Anyway, that's P naman kasi. It's not mean pala. So, yung rules natin, applicable lang kapag mean yung hinahanap natin, hindi yung proportion. Actually, hindi ko to na edit ito. So, ang hinahanap natin is mean. Hindi na dito applicable pala kasi syempre point something lang yan kasi proportion yan or the probability yan. So, hindi na dito applicable yung rules natin in rounding off. So, pwedeng 0.21, 0.212, pwede naman, no? 0.248, 3 decimal places, pwede naman. Okay? So, this is the answer. Yan na. So, we estimate with 95% confidence that you can say the true mean. Alan ba to? Population pala. Proportion. Bakit nasa mean pa din ako? Ano sabi sa problem? True proportion of students who paid for their education by student loans. So, the true proportion of students who paid for their education by student loan is between 0.21 and 0.24. Okay, so that's it. That's the answer. Okay, exercise time. Hindi kayo required, but since pumasok kayo, so you have your exercise time. So please, I will give you, ay, ano na no, magsi-7 na no. Sige, sagutan na lang natin ito para madali kasi magsi-7 na. Mata-times upan na tayo. Okay, a survey of 1898 adults with loans conducted by Harris Interactive Poll found that 45% of the adults said that dandelions were the toughest weeds to control in their yards. Find the 95% confidence interval of the true proportion who said that dandelions were the toughest weeds to control their yards. Okay, so dito, binigay na, ano po, yung 45%, that is already the what? That is already the p-hat. Okay? P-hat na yan. Or you can actually compute pa. 1895 is n. So 45%, get the 45% of this. Pero bibigyan nyo pa din, ang ibibigay pa din sa inyo ng p-hat, 45% pa din. Ano? Ipakita ko sa inyo ha, para mas maintindihan ninyo. So yung n natin is 1898. Okay? Therefore, yung x is 45% of 1898. Ilan ba yan? Let me compute. 1898 times 0.45. So that would be 854.1. So if we are going to compute for p prime, that would be x over n. So 1898 over, baliktad. Pero 0.45 pa din yung ibibigay sa inyo. Give me my calculator. So that would be 854.1 over 1898. Tama? So, kapag kinompute nyo yan, kasi kinuha yung calculator ko, that will give you 0.45 or 45%. So, yan. Actually, kahit hindi nyo computein yan, wait lang guys. Okay. So, pasensya na guys. Maraming bloopers. Wait lang. So, again, yung 45% dito guys is already a proportion. Tama? So, that's 45%. P hat na yan. So, therefore, our Q hat is 1 minus 0.45. Tama? So, it will give you 0.55. Oh, direct substitution na yan. Yung CL natin is 95%. So, lower and upper limit na. Madali na lang, di ba? So, that would be P hat is 0.45 minus Z. 95%. Ilan ba yung 95%? I think that's 1 point something, 1.90. Let me use 1.96 for 90%. 95%, I mean. Square root of P 0.45, Q hat 0.55 over N, that's 1898. 0.45 plus 1.96 square root of 0.45, 0.55 over 1898. So you can get now the interval. So please check if this is correct. I guess ang nakuha ko dyan is 428, 0.472. Okay. So that's it. So ganyan lang po, no? So I hope malinaw sa inyo yung tatlo. No? And that's it for now. So that is, tapos na po yung confidence interval natin. Now we only have, isa na lang yung kulang natin sa under semifinals. And I will post this on BB. Pati itong notes, itong may solution. No? Para mapag-aralan ninyo. Okay, wala pong question. Ang exam sa physics will be on Saturday, 3 to 5 p.m. While ang EDA po is on Friday. Hapon din. Kasi yung morning calculus. Hindi ko lang tanda kung anong oras sa hapon. I think that's 3 to 5. Yes po. Miss Astrologo.
Napindot lang po, ma'am. Sorry po.
Okay. So, wala na pong question and concern? Wala na? Okay. So, kung may question kayo, may pahabol kayo, may concern kayo, just chat sa ating GC. Thank you guys for attending our not so formal class. God bless everyone. And
you, ma'am. Bye-bye
God
po.
bless. Bye-bye.
감사합니다.
Kamsahamnida.
Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you po.